Hey everybody! I am here with my beautiful friend Lauren Haas. She is a holistic health coach and private chef, and we decided to take your complete to her home today.
Welcome to my home, everybody.
We are here in Beverly Hills, just hanging out at Lauren's place. This is Lauren. This is Lucy over here.
Lucy.
Don't let the snoring bother you. And we're just going to talk about your journey and how did you become a holistic health coach and a private chef?
Yeah, it's been a crazy journey. I look at what I do, and it's not just my job, it's my purpose in life.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that I really came out of the womb screaming to help people and with a message. And my mom's always like, you literally came out screaming bloody murder. Because I had a message to share with people, you know? So I came out of the womb, I was colicky, had digestive issues, etc.
Wow.
And it was a struggle for my parents having a screaming child that was sick. And as I grew up and grew older, there was other things that came up along the way. For example, in the 90s, ADHD was considered like you were stupid, right? It was like a problem.
Yeah.
And I was one of those kids in class that was ADHD, which for me just meant that I learned different, right? And when you're young and you're in school, they want you to fit into this sandbox. Mm-hmm. And I wanted to be on the jungle gym upside down with one shoe on and my hair in like a pigtail, So I never fit in. I had a really hard time, and they wanted to put me on medication. And when I was in, I think it was third grade, they put me on medication. And I remember being on it for about 3 months. And my mother said to me when it was third grade, how old are you? 7, 8, 9, young. Said to my mom, I'm like, I don't like how this medication makes me feel. Mm-hmm. She's like, well, how does it make you feel? And I said, I feel like a caged animal. I feel like I don't feel like me. And she said, well, do you want to continue taking this medication? I said, no, I really don't like it. Mm-hmm. And she said, what do you have to do? I said, I need to have one pencil, one pen, an eraser, and a highlighter in my pencil box so that I don't have lots of colors, so that I'm doodling and drawing and not paying attention to the teachers.
Wow, that's amazing. You innately knew what you needed as a kid.
Yeah, so that was, and I've realized I've always been very in touch with myself and what I need to do to fix problems, and my mom calls me the fix it. She's like, everyone just comes to you and you just like fix it. I'm like, yeah, I'm a problem solver. That's what I do. So I started off with that, and then she took me off of sugar and food coloring and all those like fruit snacks and all that. And my brain, I started to be able to focus, and she told the teachers put Lauren in the front of the classroom, and we started to adapt the home so everything was organized and my food, and she had me exercising. Wow. And I was a soccer player to get out that energy because I had so much energy.
Yeah.
So it started there, and then I had digestive issues, and I was at a stomach ache, and then hit puberty and gained weight, and just the whole thing, and the skin and the eczema and all and the acne, and it was just very inflamed.
Yeah.
That's what it was. I was so inflamed. And as I got older, I wanted to fix myself. I didn't want to be that like chubby girl. I was always popular, but I didn't want to be like the chubby popular girl, Mm-hmm. And I started to lose weight and went on that. I was like the youngest person in Weight Watchers. I was like 13.
Really?
Yeah. I was like 13 years old, and I wasn't like overweight. I was just I was just not at a healthy weight.
Okay.
But I wasn't obese. The doctor said, she needs to lose about 20 pounds, 15 pounds to be a healthy weight for her age and height. Mm-hmm. So I go to Weight Watchers, did that, and then eventually through high school, I'm starting to use a different language now when it comes to eating disorders or people having issues. Mm-hmm. And I ended up inviting an eating disorder into my life.
That's an interesting way to say that. Tell me more.
So I never felt like I really fit into school, and I felt like I needed to be perfect, and I had all this stress and anxiety. Mm-hmm. And that's what invited the eating disorder in. And I became very controlling about my food and my exercise, and it's not my eating disorder. I am not an eating disorder. I am a human being. I'm Lauren Haas. But for me, when things were turned upside down or out of my control, then an eating disorder was invited in. Right?
Well, yeah, I mean, I look at it as one way of many maladaptive coping mechanisms, and there's also adaptive coping mechanisms. It's really, we find that it, right? right? It's a way to make us feel like we're in control when we're not in control. So it's just a behavior that you are doing
Right.
in order to try to contain yourself,
Right.
in order to try to soothe yourself, in order to try to feel like everything's going to be okay.
Right.
So yeah.
So that came in, but it's interesting because from this eating disorder entering my life, I started to learn a lot about healthy food, right? But I became obsessive, but I learned so much. And
Right.
my mom was a cooking teacher, so I grew up in the kitchen, so I knew how to cook, and I was creating all these recipes, and half the time they turned out like dog biscuits because I was, they taste horrible, because
Yeah.
I was trying. And so the eating disorder came, and then eventually as I grew up, and it went away, and I got more control over. I got into USC, which was a huge accomplishment for me, and I had really great SAT scores, and I was doing all these great things. So the eating disorder kind of started to go away.
Why do you think it did that? What do
I
you
think because I had more control of my life. I was going to a college. I was getting good grades. I was doing well. And then I went to USC, and I had a boyfriend. And then I had this wonderful guy in my life in freshman year. And it was funny because I pointed him out to my a friend of mine. I said, he's going to be my boyfriend. She goes, you can't just declare. I'm like, I can declare whatever I want. He's going to be my boyfriend.
Where, what, like orientation or like in class or something?
Walking down the hall, or
That's so
it was so funny. So, and you and I talk about manifesting so much. So, 18 years old, I saw what I wanted. I declared it to a friend, and he became my boyfriend 2 weeks later. And he was great, and we had a great time. And
this is like your first real boyfriend.
my first real boyfriend.
Wow.
So cute. My first real boyfriend. And I had this other love in my life, and then the eating, and that's the eating sort of was gone. And it was funny.
Self-esteem grew. You felt effective.
I felt full.
Ah, yes.
Full. And not only I felt emotionally full, but I also felt physically full, because I've never been a meat eater. I've always been more on a vegetarian side, and he was a meat and potatoes guy, so I was literally physically full all the time because I was eating steak and potatoes.
Wow.
And then I started to gain weight, and then our relationship started to turn the corner, and it wasn't for the best, and we broke up. And I was on birth control, and I had gained probably about 20 pounds.
Wow.
And then I was like, okay, this is bad. I need to fix this. The Fix It came out. I started spinning and going to the gym, and I was teaching spin classes, and then I was spiraling out of control. And I was not doing very well in school, and I went back on medication. And then being back on that medication, I stopped eating and sleeping, and I had anxiety, so they put me on anti-anxiety pills.
Well, so they put you on an ADHD med, which is usually a stimulant, and then that was causing a lot of anxiety, so they were like, oh, let's medicate this with anti-anxiety.
Anti-anxiety.
Okay.
And then the eating disorder was invited back into my life, right? Because I was so out of control, and I was just spinning, and I was on it, and they're like, it's like if you're a diabetic, you need to take insulin. You're having trouble in school, you need to take medication. So that happened, and then the eating disorder came back in, and I was just out of control. And on top of that, I was working 40 hours a week as a nanny, and eventually became a family's private chef.
Wow.
And then my chefing career started, and that was 11 years ago.
Wow.
Right, so that's when the nutrition and feeding people started to come in. So I was doing that, eventually got off the medication, went to therapy, took care of myself, dove into yoga, and that really helped. I was telling someone actually yesterday at the gym, the yoga helped me see that I am exactly where I'm supposed to be, and I'm good and perfect exactly where I am. And every day it's I'm like, oh my God, this is not good, or I'm whatever. But just to have that constant reminder really helped me get grounded.
Yeah.
And I eventually graduated, and I was working for another woman who's a mentor of mine, Rose Cole. She's incredible. And she taught me about holistic nutrition. And she's like, in my interview, she's like, do you know how to cook gluten-free and dairy-free? And I didn't know. I didn't even know what gluten-free was. And I was like, yeah, sure. And I went home and researched it. And eventually I was cooking dairy-free, gluten-free with goji berries and raw food. And she taught me so much about my skin and my body and my hormones. And I worked for her for a couple of years. And then I decided I wanted to go work in, I worked in business development. Started off at HR, got promoted, did that. and I did not like working in an office. I was back to being that caged animal, right? And not my free expressive, you know me.
Yeah.
Free expressive, like this is who I am self.
Yeah.
It was not me. And I was engaged at the time, and my now ex-fiance said, you need to do what you love. What do you love to do? And I said, I want to help people with their food and their nutrition. And he said to me, you need to figure out what you need to do in order to get certified. So I called Rose, who did what I do now, and another friend of mine, another mentor, and they both said I should go to the Institute for Integrative Nutrition.
Cool.
And then the nutrition coaching started, and I was very blessed because my ex owned a CrossFit gym. So I started working with all of his clients.
Nice.
And I was speaking, and I was doing this and that, and then eventually ended up quitting, losing that job in the office because the department was shut down, and I had this small business that I grew, and now I am where I am. And I always say by healing my body, I heal my clients' bodies, and that's my little mantra.
So beautiful.
Yeah.
So beautiful.
So that's how it happened, and now I do what I do, and I love it.
Wow. So what is like a session with you like? Like what if somebody comes to you, what happens?
Okay, so if we're doing a nutrition session, the first thing that happens would be like a 90-minute consult, like when you go in to see a doctor or anybody who's going to help you with your health and your wellness. And I just figure out what's going on. It's your typical, what do you eat? What's your life like? You know, how many hours a week do you work? Do you go to the bathroom regularly? I talk about poop all the time. And like poop and farting and all these things, just it has to come up because that's our body.
Right.
Right? So talk about all of that, you know, are you sleeping? Do you have aches and pains? And what illnesses are you going through? What medication, what supplements, what are you taking? So I get a really great picture of the person's holistic health, their holistic body, everything. And then they food log for me, and I start to tweak things. And I always start with breakfast. And what I do, someone said to me, how are you different than seeing a dietitian or a nutritionist? And I said, I literally sit with every single one of my clients, and I create a tailored, personalized plan with them, with whatever is going on. And then, you know, have someone who has diabetes and has Crohn's disease. Then you have to balance, like, well, they've got Crohn's, so they can't have too much fiber, right? And they've got diabetes, so I have to be careful, you know, with the sugar, or I have to be careful X, Y, and Z. So it's just constant working with each individual person. And I start off with a 12-week program, and most of my clients stay with me, or they have monthly check-ins to keep them on board, and I teach them how to cook.
So fun.
Yeah, and I send them recipes, and we work on, sometimes we'll do stress reduction, because I do think that it's true, stress causes so much inflammation in your body, and our illnesses come up, right? And they manifest differently in everybody. So I like to work a lot with stress reduction and getting people on a much more natural plan, where they are not using chemicals, and they stop eating dairy and gluten and soy and all these things that cause so much inflammation in the body. And yeah, and that's how it happens. And they come once a week for about an hour. And if they don't live in Los Angeles, I do Skype and FaceTime with my clients.
Great.
So I have clients all over the place. And we go through it, and we talk about their nutrition. For usually like 75% of the conversation is food-based, and then 25% will be life-based. And then sometimes it flips, where it's 75% what's going on in your life and 25% is food, because with holistic nutrition, it's not just about the food. It's the holistic body, the body, mind, and spirit.
Right.
So each thing is going to be affected by the other one. Your food's affected by how you are feeling emotionally. You know, how you're feeling emotionally is going to be affected by your food, right? You eat something that doesn't agree with you, and then you're beating yourself up, right?
Yeah.
And then you're beating yourself up, and then then some people turn to food. So then they go back into eating something bad, and it's this fight. So how do we create a balance where you feel good enough about yourself, where you're not doing that?
You know, you just made me think, you know, the epidemic of eating disorders is, right, it's an emotional, it's a mental health diagnosis. So it's like, what you're eating and how you feel about food and how you feel affects what you eat. Like, it's just hello. It's so, and when you said to me, like, you were full in your life, like you were emotionally full, and and then like you get to heal yourself and heal other people and feed other people. It just is like, it was just so beautiful.
Thank
I
you.
so see like that cycle.
Yeah.
You mentioned that you work mind, body, spirit, and we're gonna talk about spirituality.
Of course.
So tell me, how do you see the spirit as part of that pie, of that circle of wholeness?
Yeah. So I've always, not always, but for a while I've had this idea that your body, and we've heard it, nothing's new, right? Right.
Yeah, everything's been said. I always say that. I'm like, I'm just saying everything everybody else is
I'm just saying it
just
a
in my
different
own way.
or to my crowd, to my tribe.
Yeah.
So I always tell people, I go, cliche, your body is your temple, right? It is your temple, but your temple, which is your body, holds your soul. It's just a vessel. And a dear friend of mine, Catherine Budig, she calls it your meat suit. Your meat suit holds your soul. So that's her thing.
That.
And I just say your vessel. So everyone's got their way of saying it. So
Yeah.
your vessel holds your soul.
Oh yeah.
And in terms of spirituality, if you don't take care of your vessel, your soul is going to cry. And if you don't take care of your soul, your vessel is going to cry. So how do we create a space where they're both smiling and they're both all, up in this upward spiral? And what tools, with my clients, I use a lot of tools to help them recognize when they're spiraling downward. Okay, so what do we do to keep you up, elevated, up, feeling good? What morning routine do you have to do? I love the morning routines, and
how you start your day.
It's how I start my day.
And it's the most spiritual time of the day. It's when we're the most open, just innately. Yeah.
So that's the soul, the spirit, whatever you want to call it. You have this beautiful energy that you have to take care of, and then you have this beautiful body that you have to take care of, right? And this beautiful life that you have to take care of. So for me, it's spirituality is not just your soul, it's really everything. Because again, it's that holistic health where everything is so intertwined. And I do a lot of work with my clients on taking care of all of it. And I've had people who are resistant to yoga, resistant to meditation. You've done my sound healing sessions.
Yeah.
And they're resistant to sound healing, and then they come in and they're like, whoa, trippy. And I'm like, so trippy. How do you feel? And they're like, I feel like I'm floating. And I'm like, do you feel a little sound stoned? I feel sound stoned. I'm like, are you hungry? Yeah. I'm like, that's the sound munchies. Would you like some food? And then I feed them. So it's this whole thing, and taking care of your whole body, and not just, you can't just take care of one and think that everything's going to follow. You have to take care of each thing.
What do you, will you first talk really quickly about your sound healing?
Oh,
really quick, because it's amazing.
Oh, thank you. So my sound healing, it's new. I'm still like a little quiet about it,
Not anymore!
It's not a podcast! It's not a podcast! So I'm still a little bit quiet about it because it's a new part of my practice, and I was recently, over the past year, I've been certified as advanced Reiki, which is in energy healing, and my mentor, Ambi, who's amazing. I have a lot of mentors because I do so much, right?
Yeah.
She does these sound baths, and she got me into it. And I was with her the other day. She's like, she's English. I'm so proud of you. And I'm like, really? She's like, yeah, you're like my little progeny, like you're, is that the word progeny? Prodigy, and she's like, and we had this wonderful talk, and she helped me get my first gong, which is over there. But
Yes.
So I've got my gong from, I think, Switzerland, and I've got these 5 Himalayan crystal bowls, and each one has a different tone for each different chakra. And I crowd in 16. We were just talking about it.
Yes.
I'm like, oh my God, are you guys coming? Yeah, okay. So I crowd in 16 to 20 people into my place, and everyone lies on the floor, and I lie out my blankets, and one blanket, it's just all, it's my life, right?
Yeah.
It's like my blanket from Denmark and the blanket from India and all these things all over.
So beautiful to see your tribe all here enjoying the sound bath.
And
I was here.
You came. Yeah. And you brought the dog,
Yeah, Lyle came, that's right.
And Lucy.
Puppies are allowed.
Yeah, so we had a really nice sound bath, and you come and you lie down, and I feed you, of course, and you listen. And I play the bowls and the gong for about 45 minutes, and you it's called a sound bath, I don't bathe you. You know, it's not like there's no water involved, but like the sounds are supposed to bathe and cleanse your body.
Yes.
And you feel so clear and light after we do a little meditation. I do a Dharma talk where I have somebody come. You spoke.
That's right.
2 weeks ago. And they're cool. It's just cool, you know.
Yeah.
It's fun. So that's the sound baths.
So nice. And Reiki how does Reiki work? I don't really know about that.
I was saying to my friends, I don't even know how it works, but it works. So Reiki is a Japanese healing technique where you work on the different chakras in the body and the different blocks.
Okay.
So each chakra represents a different, has a different representation. Crown chakra is your connection to spirituality and God or higher power, or as I call it, the energy that's all around us that connects us, right? And then you've got your third eye, which is intuition, right? And then you've got your throat chakra, which is truth, communication. The heart is love. Your upper, lower belly, safety. Your root chakra. You know, so you've got all these things, and we work on different areas. And I use sound healing as well because the bowls that I have are connected to each of the chakras. So I use that to help clear, and it's like it's this weird woo-woo thing that I do, and it's really fun, and it works. And it was about a year and a half ago, I went through a really, really bad breakup. The most difficult breakup I've ever gone through. And nothing was healing me. And I was like, literally just wanted to stand in the middle of the street and just scream because I had all these emotions and nothing was working.
Right.
And I had this dark cloud above me, and I was introduced to Ambi, my Reiki and sound healing mentor, and she started to do Reiki on me, and it just resonated on such a deep level, and it really helped heal that broken heart and that sense of loss. And I remember feeling like my heart was torn into a million, it was still inside, but like torn into a million pieces, and then put into a blender, and then blended, and then poured back in me, just like
feel that.
And
that
black.
Heartbreak is so painful.
Yeah, and it was a really dark time, and slowly the Reiki and the sound bath healing and all this deeper work, and getting back in touch with who I am and taking care of myself, and I felt my little mushed up black heart slowly like coming back, but it was still black. It was whole, but it was black and sad.
Yeah.
And then the lightness, that red, pink, beautiful, or like yellow. I think the heart for me is like that shining
Sunshine.
yellow light. Yeah.
That golden light.
That golden light started to come back and fill me, and then I just got better. You know, and that's what the Reiki helped heal me. The therapy didn't work. I love therapy. Therapy's the best.
Well, that's why I'm here, because traditional spirituality must supersede traditional psychology, because I've done all the psychology, and I find that people need something else in order to really heal, and there is a place for both.
And
but
combining them.
I gotta think you gotta combine them, and you're doing the mind, body, spirit, so you're hitting all those spots.
I try. I'm not a therapist. If I can't deal with somebody, I send them to therapists. I'm
Yeah.
like, I love you, but I can only do so much. Go
Yeah.
talk to Bianca. You know, she will help you. But yeah, it's that when you're going through emotional distress, that's your soul crying, saying, I need help, I need help, I need help. And sometimes you can talk therapy has been something great for me. But then once I was able to hit that spirituality and hit that other aspect of who I am, my happiness really went to another place.
Yeah.
But you know, the talk therapy is great, but sometimes, and you need that to figure out what the problem is, but then I find that spirituality, however you look at it, it gives you a sense of hope and a sense of faith. And I think that once you know that there is light at the end of the tunnel, we were talking before we started this podcast, we were talking about when from the darkness comes the light. Again, a cliche, we all hear this. From the darkness comes the light.
But it's in nature. It's like everywhere. It's like it is
everywhere.
Darkest before the dawn. It is actually the darkest time of day. It's like, right? Nature is wisdom. It's like the ultimate wisdom. So like, yeah, all of this is like, hello, it's just set up for us. And then in our experiences, you and I, the hard stuff we've gone through, I mean, it is like deep. Devastating, and like people call it a bottom in the recovery community. Like you got to hit your knees in order to be like,
I need help.
I'm ready for a freaking miracle, and then incredible things happen.
Well, it's also surrendering. And it's being
Totally.
aware of the problem, surrendering, getting the help you need. And
Yeah.
I was saying, it's like, from the darkness comes the light. When you're walking through that dark tunnel, you can't ignore the darkness. You can't run away from it. You can't hide from it. You have to just keep walking through that dark tunnel, and then you see that like little bit of that little light, and you're like, okay, it's there. But you have to keep walking, and then something happens where another thing, something hits you from the side. Linebacker comes and hits you on the side, and you're like, okay, I just got to get back up because I saw that light.
Yes.
And you just keep going, and you keep going, and you keep going, and then eventually you're in that light, and you're in that happy place, and now you're back in that upward spiral, and you're going, and you're going.
And I find energetically, and just, as a human, I just feel so much stronger when I get through that space. When I've got the hard things that I've gone through have made me brighter and more courageous, and I mean, it's the journey.
Yeah, and we all have our stuff.
Everybody's got stuff.
And it's funny because if you go on my website, it's like I have my full bio on there. It's like, this is all the issues I went through. And I've had people say, you might not want to put all that stuff out there. And I'm like,
you're like, I do.
I go, this is who I am. This is what I have. Well, it's, the illness, the sickness is not.
Sorry, guys.
You. That is not who I am. Bless you.
Sorry, everybody.
That is not who I am, but it is part of my life and what I've gone through. And those challenges are. I was talking to my brother's fiance last night about, mistakes are not mistakes. It's a lesson. And then we were talking about this. And if you don't learn the lesson,
it will repeat.
Oh my God! Please.
It will repeat as needed.
Oh my God! I can't even tell you guys. The lessons right now, my thing is like the lessons in dating I've gone through.
Oh gosh.
The lessons in dating, and it keeps going up and it keeps. And now it's even funnier. Is I was on a date the other day, taking a tangent, and I was like, oh my God, if X, Y, and Z happen, now it was, if X happens, it is a lesson. There is something coming from this.
Yeah.
And X happened.
And you were like, I have to take a different action. I always go down this path. I have to go down this other path, or I'm just going to keep making the same mistake.
Same mistake over and over again. So it's just like having this moment, and I have these moments I call with God, right, or higher power. And this moment, I was like, God, hey, yo, what's up? I get it, okay? I see it, I feel it, I get it, okay? Thank you. I'm going to do my absolute best not to make the same mistake, because I make the same mistake over and over again, right? And I think because I've become so much more in touch with my spirituality and my intuition that I've been able to open up to this, and I'm learning. I have not learned yet, right? I'm clearly learning what the lesson is and what it is I need to do to change. So it's not mistakes, they're not lessons. Going back to like my bio on my website that I was talking about has all the challenges I have gone through because they were lessons that I had to learn so that I can heal my body to heal my clients' bodies.
I think that's what gives us the most cred.
Straight cred.
I gotta tell you, that's what's on mine.
You have to.
I'm like addiction, anxiety, depression, like mental illness. Like, of course, it's how we know.
It's just
that we
the
can
soul.
help people.
But look, it's just the soul crying that I need help. And I think if people can look at it that way, and instead of looking at,
totally.
I feel like we're in this time where it's good. It's okay to say hi. When anxiety comes in my life, and eating disorder is invited in. When I am feeling bad about myself, or my self-esteem gets low, I drink, or I do this, or I do that. And I think as we start to show the world that we are all human and we all have our issues, and it's okay to have these issues, that everyone's going to be happier, and it's not going to be this kind of like don't talk, like closed off, I am perfect. I am not perfect.
Yeah, I know. We've got so much, and we're in LA. It's like there's so many guards, but I mean, even anywhere, there's so many guards that we put up to defend ourselves against pain and against being hurt and against feeling threatened. And it's like, I know, when we're able to just sort of, I don't know, I just feel like when I really feel connected to my spirit and the energy of the universe, I just know I'm always going to be okay. Like, I'm going to be able to get through anything. Like, it's all going to be okay.
It's last night I was playing with my new gong. I had Passover dinner, and we prayed.
Mazel.
Thank you.
Is that what you say for Passover?
No, you just say Happy Passover.
Oh, Happy Passover.
Happy Pesach. I'm a bouju Hindu. I'm a diet Jew light. Like, so I just like.
So's David.
I know.
He's Jew-ish. He's a little Jewish.
I'm like culturally Jewish, but I'm like Jew-ish. So, anyways, but I came back and I was like gonging it out. My girlfriend, one of my girlfriends said to me, she's like, or my brother's fiance said to me, she's like, have you gotten any noise complaints? I'm like, no, girl. I think it's healing the building. No,
you hit that thing, and I felt this
like
energy go through me, and it was so grounding.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, play that gong.
So that gong, it's the Venus gong, and she's all about abundance and receiving.
Perfect
And
for manifesting.
and feminine energy. So I'm like gonging it out, and my dog Lucy loves the gong and the bowls. It's so cute. And I'm gonging it out, and then I finished, and I was like, oh, I feel good. And I looked at my clock, and it was 11:11. And
that's the synchronicity
and I was
sign.
And I like literally was like, and every time I see 11:11, even 1:11,
yeah,
I always go, thank you God, hi God, thanks God for watching over me, take care of me, thank you so much, and but it was such a weird, it was like that moment I played my gong, I felt super good and grounded. I played the bowls for a little bit, and I looked at my phone, it was 11:11, I was like, I am so, and I feel like such a crazy person talking about this, but I was like, I feel so in touch with God, higher power, spirituality, the angels, whatever it is. Oh my God, my poor parents, they're like, you're so woo-woo. I just felt so aligned.
Yeah.
It was just that moment, and it was really beautiful, and then I went and I did a little meditation before bed, and then that was that, and I woke up, and
Synchronicity.
Synchronicity.
Looking at the clock at 11:11 or 1:11. Oh yeah,
after playing the gong.
Yes. Yeah, synchronicity to me is always like, I am exactly where I'm meant to be. I just love that. And I've been having a lot of them this past week. It's been very interesting. Just wow.
It's the sign. It's one of the many signs
that we're in flow.
Oh, that's my bread.
What is that? It smells so good in here.
I know, right? That is because I don't eat grain because it doesn't work great with my stomach. I do a little bit, but not frequently.
Yeah.
And I love like yummy, healthy breads, but I can't really eat. I choose not to eat them because they don't make me feel good.
Right.
I created this coconut flour, so literally made out of coconut.
You make it?
Yeah. Well, I don't make the flour. God no.
Okay.
I don't have that much time.
Okay.
I buy coconut flour. It's like coconut flour, egg whites, baking soda, pumpkin puree, pumpkin pie spice, and a little coconut sugar and some stevia and some salt and coconut yogurt. And I whip it up in my food processor and put it in my Le Creuset little loaf pan, and I bake it, and that's like it's a breakfast that I eat, and it's something that kind of
delicious.
It's really good. So that's what that was.
It smells incredible in here. Well, I have had I have had the pleasure of eating so much of your beautifully prepared foods.
Thank you.
So it was so good.
I love feeding you.
Good. Please do.
Always.
Please do. All right, we were actually just kind of on this next question, which is, what is something that you do daily to get in touch with your spirit? You've got the gong, you've got Venus, you've got the bowls. What else?
Oh my God, so much. So I meditate twice a day, morning and night. I try morning and night. Sometimes 3 times a day. It's funny. My assistant was over. I'm like, Brigitte, I have to go meditate, and she's like, okay. And I go, do the work that you don't need me for. I'm gonna go meditate.
Yeah.
So I do my meditation. I'm really into Ayurvedic medicine, which is Indian, like from India. To traditional Indian medicine, and I've gotten into doing Abhyanga, which is basically you massage your body with oil, and I use coconut oil because it's cooling because I run hot.
Yes.
So I do that in the evening before bed. I oil pull. I make my own food. I really try to eat 80%, 85% of my food is what I make because my love goes into it and it takes care of me.
Oh, beautiful.
I do yoga, I run, I pray all day long.
Yeah,
I
me
do
too.
my gongs. I keep my relationship with myself as whole and loving as possible. And there are days that are good and bad, but as whole and possible as possible and whole and loving as I can, so that and that's being selfish. That's self-care. Right, so that I can then have great relationships with those around me.
To take care of yourself, it sounds
selfish, man. Selfish is self-care. You have to take care of yourself first before you could take care of others. And I have a lot of people I take care of. I have a lot of clients and a lot of people. And if I'm not whole and feeling good, they're gonna feel that. So the other thing I do is oil pulling. And someone's like, that sounds rather sexual. I'm like, it is not.
It doesn't. It sounds
like,
kind of gross to me.
It sounds disgusting. So what you do, and it's an Ayurvedic technique.
Okay.
You, depending on the doctor that you work with, or you can even look it up, but you either use sesame or coconut oil, or I actually use olive oil, and you put it in your mouth, and you swish it around for about 15 to 20 minutes, and it pulls.
I've heard of this before.
It pulls the toxins. Even if you have like mercury poisoning or like high mercury levels, it pulls the toxins out. So that's something that I don't have mercury issues, but I find that like I just find that it keeps me clean, and also it's really good for your oral hygiene, so like for your mouth. My really good friend Jennifer, who I think you've met, she was like, you never had the yellow teeth, like you've always had white teeth, but your teeth look so white.
Okay, literally, I was sitting here when we first started, and I was like, Lauren's teeth are so white. I was like, I should go whiten my teeth. But I had a friend that did oil pulling, and her teeth totally were transformed into super duper white.
Yeah.
She was doing the coconut oil every day. You just sort of like swish it around in there.
Swish it around, and then what you do, I set a timer. So my morning routine, part of it is oil pulling, and then giving my dog her medication and feeding her and taking care of her.
Right.
And it's part of my routine, like, right? So, and then what you do, and then what I also do is I boil boil a big pot of water while I'm swishing,
right,
while I'm oil pulling, and I take a little bit of the hot water, I put it in a glass with salt.
Okay.
And then some room temp water, so it's just not hot. I spit the oil out.
Okay.
And then what I do is you don't want to swallow it. You don't want to swallow any of the oil because it pulls the toxins out.
Oh, I see.
So then you spit it out into the sink or the toilet or whatever. And then what I do is I then put the salt water, the warm salt water, I take that in my mouth and I swish it around and then I spit it out. So then it pulls out the little bit of oil that's like
maybe left
in your mouth.
Teeth, yeah.
And I've been doing it for 2 months. And people are like, your teeth look great.
Wow.
They look so good. And I'm like, they're like, what are you doing? I'm like, well, I'm doing Invisalign, so that's part of my teeth being straightened. So that's why they look better. I never had bad teeth, but they're like, no, it's not that they're straight.
No, they're white.
They're like white. And I'm like, it's the oil pulling.
And it's just natural. And all those teeth whitening things are so chemically.
So
and
chemically.
Like, the fact that they make your teeth sensitive, I'm like, that can't be good.
Oh my God.
But, yeah.
So it's like you eat ice cream and then you're like, no.
Why olive oil? So you can use olive oil, sesame oil, or coconut oil. So
I'm not a pro on Ayurvedic medicine at all. I'm still learning. It's something I'm learning about. So
okay.
I might speak incorrectly.
Okay.
So I'm not, like I said, I'm not an expert, but I was told for me that olive oil is a good thing. I can use coconut oil because I run hot.
Okay.
And in Ayurvedic medicine, there's different types of bodies.
Yeah, Pitta,
Vata, and Kapha.
Right.
And I'm a Vata Pitta. Pitta, Vata, I can't remember which one, whatever.
Right.
But my Pitta, which Pitta is represented by fire, heat.
Right.
When my Pitta is out of control, my skin flares up, my digestion flares up, all these things happen. So, and I tend to run more on a hot side, but I'm also Vata, which is air, light and airy and cool. But because I tend to run hot, the olive oil, I can use coconut oil too, but the olive oil or coconut oil is, I guess, what the doctor told me to use.
Yeah.
And my client, they have the most wonderful olive oil, organic olive oil vineyard in Italy, and I use that oil, and it's just so much love. There's like so much love in that oil.
Yeah.
And I use that oil.
I love the way you talk about the energy of food. I mean, it's like, I mean, we could just go like on a whole thing about the tradition of families eating together and feeding people. And I have a friend who was a therapist, and now he makes sausages, and it's like now first I was like, he's always so crazy. He's always, but I'm like, wait a second. He is so passionate about these sausages that he makes and this meat that he like does stuff with, and it's like he's putting the love into the food, and he's continuing to be a healer in a way. It's
food
wild.
is healing. You know, you get a cold, you drink chicken soup. You know, food is healing, and food has so many healing properties, and we forget that.
Yeah.
You know, before we had, look, there's a time for Western medicine for sure. I get it. I'm not like, you know, there's a time for Western, but if you can do as much Eastern or natural medicine as possible first, unless you really need Western, but food heals the body, and we know that. But people want quick fixes, so we turn to medication first versus saying, I'm going to take a slower route. You know, it took me years to heal my body, and then things flare up and I have to I have to adjust, but food heals the body and food heals the heart. And when I went through, you know, like I said, I've gone through some major breakups. You know, I was engaged and I went through a really difficult, I call it the divorce. That was the divorce.
Yeah.
You know, and that's whenever, and then I had another breakup a year and a half ago, and that was the one that
we were talking about, black heart.
And then I had one, you know, not too recent, but more recent, and that one really wasn't that bad. But you know, I found myself when I knew it was over. So funny. I knew the relationship was over, and I knew that I was breaking up with him. And he's a wonderful person, but I knew I was breaking up with him, and I was at my client Jennifer's house, who I love to pieces, and I was making her a curry, and I was such like a eat, pray, love moment, right? And I'm like crying, and I'm making this curry, and I could feel all of my love going into the food.
Wow.
And and Jennifer was over in the dining room, and I walked, and I said, I just want to let you know the food's gonna kick ass today. She's like, why? Because I've been crying for the past like 3 hours I've been cooking, and all my love in my heart and my emotions have gone into your food. And that night she text messaged me, she's like, food's killer. You know, and it's like that thing, or like you've been to my house when I have dinner parties with all the people I love, and the food is
incredible.
But then I'll cook for someone who I don't like, and it's like it's always good, but it was like mediocre, and I'm like, I undersalted that one, you know, or that's not sweet enough, or whatever it is. So I do cook. My food, for me, food is, it's healing, it's also art.
Oh yes.
You know, and my art medium is food and cooking. And you know, artists, when they create music or pieces of art, they put their emotions in it. I put my emotions into the food I'm making. And
love that.
And so I wear a ring that says love in it. I use my hands all day, right?
Yes.
And I wear a ring that says love in it, so that when I'm cooking or doing, I use my hands a lot.
Yeah.
I see the love sign, so I'm the love ring, and I always am putting love into the food I'm creating, you know, into whatever I'm doing. Or if I hug somebody and I see love, so I'm constant. My necklace also says love on it. Yes, it
does.
So it's always, those are little like reminders to put love into everything I do, and I put love on my body, like these things on my body, again, as a constant reminder to love myself. When I do my abhyanga, which is the oil massage, I go, okay, I love my ankles, I love my ankles, I love my calves, I love my knees. And I might not love myself that day,
but you do it.
But even just saying, I might be like, Lauren, today you suck. And then I'm like, okay, I love my ankles, I love my calves, I love my knees, I love my thighs, I love my thighs.
Massages are so healing to massage yourself and take the time to massage all parts of your body and send love to them is such a beautiful ritual. Wow. How long does that take? Like 10 minutes?
Not even. It's so fast. I just
it?
like ding, 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 ding. You know, and it's just in 5 minutes maybe.
Okay.
2.5 minutes each side. You know, and then I do it, and even if you don't love yourself that day, even if you feel like you're going through a dark time, and like I've shared, like I've gone through dark times. But now I know that a great tool for me is that when I'm going through a dark time in my life, or I don't feel good about myself, or for example, if I'm having ladies' holiday and I feel bloated and gross and like
Ladies' Holiday, nice.
I'm in the red tent. I'm Ladies' Holiday. It's very yoga.
Yes.
I did not make this up. This is yoga.
Okay.
Ladies' Holiday, and I don't feel good, and I will take a little extra time and rub on my little bloated belly, the oil, and be like, okay, I love my bloated belly. I love you, bloated belly. At least I get a cycle. At least I get a cycle, because for years I didn't.
Oh wow.
Right? And sending love, 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 love. Or even, 99% of women have cellulite, right? Every woman does, except for that 1%.
Yes.
And it's like, okay, I love my thighs, and I try not, and instead of going like, oh, my cellulite, it's gross, you go, I love my thighs, I love my thighs, I love my thighs.
Wow.
I love my belly, I love my boobs, I love my shoulders, I love myself, I love my face, I love my feet. And to try to just send that positive energy there. And when you don't feel good, that's when you have to do it the most.
Always, man. That's when my praying gets crazy.
Oh my God.
I get on my knees when things are not going well, when I'm not in faith, and I'm confused. I'm like, God, what is it?
Right?
Oh, that's such a beautiful practice. I think I gotta try this.
It works. It really works, especially for women. you know, every woman, my mom and I always say, every woman has an eating disorder. We're eating this, we're not eating that, we're overeating. I'm gonna eat whatever I want to eat. That's a disorder. What is not a disorder is feeding yourself the food that makes you feel good.
Yeah.
And you know what? Sometimes that big bowl of pasta makes you feel good. Sometimes it doesn't. But you have to make eat the things that make you feel good. Never. I always say, for people that can drink, not alcohol, not being like over drink, but people who enjoy drinking, like enjoy wine or enjoy alcohol because it's part of their life. I say, do not drink when you are depressed. Do not drink when you're going through a dark time. That is when you don't do that. For people who love dessert, I love sugar. You know, but I don't eat it because it doesn't make me feel good. But if I do eat it, I make a conscious decision. I'm going to eat this. And last night I had a macaroon, and I was in a good place. I said, I'm gonna have this macaroon that's covered in chocolate and two pieces of chocolate, and then I had like 3 bites of meringue or something. But I was in a good place.
Right.
So I'm not self-sabotaging the bad place inside with food. It's I'm in a good place and I'm gonna enjoy this food.
It's celebratory. It's part of tradition of Passover.
Whatever. Wake up a little bloated. Big deal. Go to the gym. Feel better. And just don't do it. I won't do it tonight.
Right.
But I ate it and I loved it and it was delicious and it was made with such love. Oh, and I love when people feed me.
Yes.
You know, and so these macaroons were just made with so much love.
Who made them? Your mom?
No, we were at our friend's house and their chef. They have a private chef. Their chef made them. Tony, he's so cool. And Tony made these macaroons. I was like, Tony, dude, these are amazing. And then he made this like a lime meringue, like key lime pie.
Yeah.
And he was so cute. Because I have a dairy intolerance, and I said, "Is there any butter in the crust?" He's like, "Oh no." He's like, "But it's made with like almonds and pecan. It's made with some like nuts and a little bit of maple syrup, and everything's organic." And I was like, "That is love. Like that's how I cook."
Yes.
And
well, just the
so
thoughtfulness.
good.
It's the thoughtfulness that goes in using all natural ingredients and stuff.
Yeah, and then one of the daughters, this is what I love about food. There were 50 of us around a long table. So cool. And we did the prayers, we did the short version of the Seder, which is the Passover ritual celebration.
Right.
Short version, and then the mother said, my daughter, her name is Laurent, took all of her grandmother's recipes. The grandmother passed a year ago. Took all of her grandmother's recipes and made this meal for you guys.
Wow.
And the love that went into this food was, you could feel it and you could taste it and you could see it and you could smell it and you could feel it, and it was all of your senses just could feel the love that she put into it. I'm getting goosebumps talking about it.
Yeah.
And my brother's fiance Marissa turned to me, she goes, so what's the best matzo ball soup you've ever had? And I don't even like matzo ball soup.
Right.
I'm like, this. She goes, I agree. And it was just, I mean, the gefilte fish, like I'm so Jewish right now.
Wow.
I'm being super Jewish. The gefilte fish was great. I mean, everything, the horseradish, the Seder plate. I mean, there was so much love that went into all this food, and this girl, Laurent, you could feel it. And I said to her, I was like, that was the most beautiful meal. And she goes, I was like, could I hire you to help me at big parties? She goes, girl, cooking is hard. And I'm like, oh, I do it privately 4 days a week, you know?
Yeah.
And it's hard, but it was just love. And
so beautiful.
yeah, so food is love, and I tell people that one of the most amazing things you can do for people that you love is to feed them. And if you don't know how to cook, if you can read, you can cook because you can read a recipe, right? And people, I had an ex-boyfriend reach out to me the other day, and he said, my mother would like for me to make those carrots you taught me how to make for Passover. How do I, do I do the oven at 350, 325, whatever it is? And I said yes, and I quickly typed up, I quickly sent him a text message of what to do.
Right.
And, food is love is food, and when people reach out to me and ask me how to cook something, and, it doesn't matter who it is, I will always share with them what it is to do, because that's how I spread my love and my work. So
I love that, to have like an ex-boyfriend have that. You taught him to make something like so memorable that he like reached out again, and his mom remembered it. It's like there is an energy there that is, it's powerful and it's real, and came back to you and him reaching out to you. It's like,
What it was
wow.
beautiful.
Oh,
And
I
was,
love that.
so that was cool. And yeah, it's, and I'll have clients who I haven't spoken to in a year just because they're good and healthy reach out to me about recipes, or, hey, this is flaring up, what do I need to do?
Yeah.
And I help them. And my mom and I, we're two little chefs in the kitchen, and we're always, sending each other recipes. And
It's such a way to bond, too.
yeah, we truly bond in the kitchen. She came over and was editing an article for me that I'm writing for an online magazine. And I brought him, like, Mom, here's the coconut bacon,
Yeah.
or coconut jerky. And she tried, she's like, it's really good. She's like, it's really good. Less cumin. I'm like, you're right. People don't like cumin, whatever.
Right.
We don't like it. Okay, I'm going to take it out. And that's how we bond. And, and now my dad's so cute. He when I go visit them, and they live in Hawaii half the year, and when I go visit him, he's like, I brought you this gluten-free cookie, and it's delicious, and he's drinking almond milk, and everyone is just getting healthier, and it's nice to see that, and it's nice when people reach out, and it's nice also when people bring me food.
Mm-hmm.
Can you try this? What do you think? And can you help me with this? Or I want to make that. And food is a beautiful thing, and it's funny coming from an eating disorder background. I love food, and I love to share food with people.
Mm-hmm.
And food was my enemy for so long.
Wow.
And food is not the enemy. I was my enemy, right? I just used food. I just turned to food as the enemy.
Yeah.
And really, food is love, and that's what I always go back to. Is food is what nourishes the soul, and what nourishes the body, and what nourishes the brain, and what nourishes your family and your friends. And I think that if we sat down, honestly, if the world sat down, or our family members, if we all sat down more often and had meals together, I really think that the world would be a happier place.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I mean, you just described a whole entire sense of community that connects through food.
Mm-hmm.
And that's been happening since the beginning of time.
Yeah.
Where tribes had to work together to get the food. It was like, now we're just also independent and like go grab something quick, and there's really a whole language of food that is, it expresses love.
Yeah.
So beautiful. Where can people find you?
Everywhere.
How can they connect with you?
So I have my website, which is www.haasholistic.com. So you can find me there. You can read about me. I've done some things for KTLA, so there's a couple of videos up there, and then there's other videos. You can find me on Twitter, Haas Holistic. You can find me on Instagram at Haas Holistic.
Nice.
You can also find, I write for a blog called Lux List.
Cool.
I write for my own blog. You can find, if you live in LA, you can find me here. If you don't live in LA and you want to connect with me or work with me, we'll do FaceTime. Where else can you find me? On Facebook. Search Lauren Haas, you'll see me. And then I also have a Facebook page called Haas Holistic.
Haas Holistic.
I'm all over, man.
You're everywhere.
Yeah.
Now, if people want to schedule a session with you, they can go to the website and they can contact you through the website.
Yeah, you can contact me through the website there. You can email me, lauren@haasholistic.com. I mean, if you literally Google my name, Lauren Haas, and write holistic or nutrition, it should pop up.
Okay.
I'm all over the place. I had somebody today, my friend at the gym, he's like, I was looking at one of the trainer's pages, and he's like, her name is like Carrie. I'm like, I don't know who she is. He's like, yeah, but she follows you. And I was like, oh, so I guess I am everywhere. So I'm all over the place. You can find me at Whole Foods shopping. Actually, I lied. I don't shop anymore. I use Instacart.
Do you? Wow.
Oh my God, it's great. But I'm everywhere.
All right.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you so much. Oh, I like to say that conversations feed the soul, and this conversation fed mine.
Good.
So thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks everybody for tuning in. You can find me at youarecomplete.com. You Are Complete on Twitter. You Are Complete on Instagram, and I am Snapchatting like a
fiend.
Like a fiend. I'm
Good.
Snapchatting fiend. And that's You Are Complete B. Thanks so much for being with us this Friday. May you feed your soul today. Do something for yourself.
Be selfish.
Because you deserve it. We'll see you next time.
Thank you.
Thanks. Bye.
Bye.